someone could pick up any of my writings well before the pandemic and see personal control. Some people, Rob, feel it's like the serenity prayer. So just to condense it, personal control is when people focus on what they have control over rather than expending a lot of time and energy over things they have no control over. So if all a person thinks about is, why did the COVID-19 have to appear, or why did this have to happen? Those are very natural questions. But resilient people will say, I may have had no control over COVID-19 occurring. What I have control over, and I'm going to underline this, is my attitude and response to it. So we have to look at the fact that we do have more control than we realize in terms of our attitude and response to very stressful situations like COVID.
It's extraordinarily difficult to get through these kinds of trials when you say, oh, I'm just going to do it alone. I'll do it by myself. You make the point that relationships are more important than ever in these difficult times.
Basic foundation of resilience is having people around you who are supportive and encouraging. And one of the things really that we're finding is people are becoming more lonely during COVID. And I say social distancing does not have to mean social isolation. So I emphasized keeping in touch with people through Zoom calls. We've had in the Brooks family reunions, thinking about people who may be lonely, friends or family, and contacting them. Resilience is really rooted in these very positive relationships of support and encouragement we have.
Another recommendation you have is under the heading of what you call therapeutic lifestyle changes. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, I read an article that said we should practice TLCs. This is well before COVID. I thought it was, tender loving care, which it is. What psychologists look at, and it ties to personal control, is, are there certain things we can do to help us to be less stressed and more resilient? So just to quickly go over three, which all your viewers will certainly will know. One is exercise. Even 15, 20 minutes a day of walking could be very helpful. Another is diet. Now, I must tell you, I exercise so I can have some chocolate chip cookies. So I'm not rigid about these kinds of things, but we can watch our diet and make some changes. And the other thing is something I didn't do as much of before, but I'm much more religious about now, is meditation. Even just 10 minutes in the afternoon, because I exercise in the morning, 10 minutes in the afternoon can really be helpful. And there are many apps for meditation. I do it in a very simple way, taking deep breaths and exhaling. And just those three, there's a lot of research finds helps you to be less stressed and more resilient.
You also say that people will feel better now if they get involved in charitable activities, some kind of service to others, right?
Yes, as long as it's not overdone. Research I've done over the years has found that one of the things that actually helps people to be less stressed, this is at any age, Rob, and more resilient, is if they feel they're making a difference in the life of someone else. See, what this does is you have control of that. It adds purpose and meaning to your life and basically says that there is something I can do to make the world better, rather than saying there's nothing I can do, and then you feel more depressed and anxious.
And one last suggestion that you make, and this is really important, is getting up each day and having a sense of gratitude. Why does that make such a difference?
Well, there are two forms of gratitude. And again, there's an increased research literature that finds gratitude is critical for resilience. The two forms are this. One is every day or every third day or once a week, just write down 2 or 3 things for which you're grateful. There's research to show that it doesn't mean you're denying what's upsetting, but it also helps to have a much more positive mindset to show there are things we're grateful for. The other part of gratitude, which I've really been emphasizing a great deal, is think about someone who has really been an important part of your life, who has done something. Write them a brief note, an email, just saying thank you. And what they have found is you're writing, it helps you to be more resilient, but they're receiving it, helps them to feel the sense of purpose or meaning. All of these things I've mentioned, we do have control over. I'm not saying anything is easy, but we still have a lot of uncertainty. So I tell people, if we can do some of these things, at least it could offset the uncertainty we're all dealing with right now.